Alvarado,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Burke, Commissioner Dunn, Commissioner Galmetti, Commissioner Gordino, Commissioner Kehoe, Commissioner Cavaloni, Commissioner Van Kneinenberg,
Here.
Chair Inman,
Here.
Senator Bell, Assemblymember Frazier, Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thanks, Doug. Since this is a little unusual layout, Doug, I'm going to call on you as our official CTC safety officer. I just learned that this morning, so good to know we are well prepared. So will you please give a safety reminder?
Certainly. So if there is a case of emergency, out back the way you came, there are stairs to your left. You make that way down to the first floor. There's also an emergency exit over here that will take you to the other end of the building where there are additional stairs.
Please join me and give Doug a round of applause. Now, I don't really want to be facetious. We do need to be always conscious and safe. So thank you, Doug. And we're going to try to start doing that, I think, on a regular basis. It's a good habit to get into. And my fellow Commissioner Burke reminded me it is a requirement that we probably would be good for us to follow. So thank you, Doug. And if you'll remind me on an ongoing basis that we do need to give that announcement. So especially when we're up on the 5th floor, I think. So anyway, we're going to start this morning with item number 65. So Dawn, I
Yes.
believe you're up first.
Right here.
Are we over there today? Okay,
Yes. So, Commissioners, I will take items tab 65 and 66 together, as both items are for the Interstate 5 Improvement Project in Orange County. Tab 65 is a TCIF program amendment to increase the TCIF funds, and tab 66 is the project baseline agreement to document the new TCIF amount. Staff has reviewed these requests and recommends approval of tab 65 and 66.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Galmetti, a second by Commissioner Alvarado. Is there any discussion on this? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. We'll move next to item 67. Dawn.
67, yes. Tab 67 is an action item to approve the TCIF baseline agreement for the State Route 60 Archibald Interchange Improvement Project in San Bernardino County. The project was added to the program in December of 2018. Staff has reviewed the baseline agreement and finds it consistent with the program guidelines. Therefore, staff recommends approval.
Move it.
I have a motion by Commissioner Alvarado, a second by Commissioner Van Kneinenberg. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Dawn, you're up again, 68.
Yes. So tab 68 is an action item recommending a policy to close out the Prop 1B TCIF program, which is now over 10 years old. Staff has discussed various options with the TCIF regional coalitions, the regional transportation planning agencies, and implementing agencies to better understand the current status of projects and potential savings. To summarize the policy, it extends the current June 2019 allocation deadline to June of 2020 and provides a variety of other options to maximize the use of savings on existing and new projects. Any savings after June of 2020 will be rolled into the SB1 Trade Corridor Enhancement Program. Staff recommends your approval of tab 68, and I'd be happy to take any comments or questions.
We have a motion by Commissioner Van Kneinenberg, a second by Commissioner Burke. Is there any comments? I would just say this is kind of bittersweet for me, having spent so much of my career in the freight sector. I believe this is our first dedicated freight dollars, and how proud I am of Senator Parada for putting it in that 1B bond, and also for all of our corridors for really working together and prioritizing. And so hats off, and the tremendous leverage that occurred from folks really focusing and working together. So that's my 2 cents on this. So I'm a little sad to see it close, but anyway, here we go. All in favor for the vote? Aye. Anybody oppose? Anybody abstain? I almost forgot to ask for anybody opposed. Okay, we're good. Motion carries. Thanks. We'll move on. Okay, Terry.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tabs 69 and 70
are department action items requesting construction allocation for 22 shop projects. The request is for $328.5 million. Commission staff has reviewed the projects for conformity with their programming in the 2018 shop and consistency with the Transportation Asset Management Plan and recommends commission approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gilmetti, a second by Commissioner Alvarado. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Okay, Terry?
Commissioners, tab 71 is a department action item requesting an allocation of $2.9 million to advance the construction of one shop project originally programmed for delivery in fiscal year 1920. Commission staff has reviewed the project for conformity with its programming in the 2018 shop and recommends commission approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Burke, a second by, are you want to do? Okay, I'm going to wait 2 seconds. We have a item. Terry, do you want to do a quick summary
do that.
repeat? We have a San Diego commissioner coming in the door.
This is a San Diego project.
You okay with that?
Okay. Commissioners, tab 71 is a department action item requesting an allocation of $2.9 million to advance a San Diego shop project, originally programmed for delivery in fiscal year 1920. Staff has reviewed the request and recommends commission approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Kehoe and a second by Commissioner Burke. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Okay, we can go to item 72. Terry.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, tab 72 is a department action item requesting an allocation of pre-construction support for shop projects. The request is $64.6 million for 76 pre-construction phases. Commission staff has reviewed the allocation request to confirm the appropriateness of the support requests and to confirm consistency with their programming in the 2018 shop. Staff recommends approval of these allocation requests.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gardino, a second by Commissioner Burke. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Teresa, item 73.
Item 73 is an action item. This is an allocation request of $36,189,000 for 3 locally administered STIP projects on the state highway system. Staff has reviewed this request, finds it consistent with STIP guidelines and the program. Staff recommends your approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Alvarado, a second by Commissioner Kehoe. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Teresa.
Item 74 is an action item. This is an allocation request of $4,010,000 for 10 locally administered STIP projects off the state highway system. Staff has reviewed this request, finds it consistent with STIP guidelines and the program. Staff recommends your approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gilmetti, a second by Commissioner Kehoe. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Teresa, 75.
Item 75 is an action item. This is a request to advance the allocation for PPM for the San Bernardino County for fiscal year 1920. Normally, PPM we don't advance it until the June meeting or at the year it is programmed. At this time, staff recommends we postpone this request to the June meeting and not recommend approval at this time.
Doesn't take a motion, does it? You just move it, you're the chair.
Does it?
No, this is PPM, Planning, Programming, and Monitoring. This
Okay.
is for their staff that they're not going to be able to utilize until July 1st.
Okay.
And so it is appropriate to vote on it at the June meeting.
Okay, but do we need to vote today? So
No, we don't need to vote.
we don't need to vote. Does
No.
anybody here want to speak on this? Okay, if no one's here, then I think we just accept your recommendation and move on, right? No vote is necessary. Okay, let's go on then to 76. Teresa?
Item 76 is an action item. This is a request to advance the allocation of $8,600,000 for the Silicon Valley Express Links Program Phase 4 Electronic Tolling System Project in Santa Clara County. This project is programmed in 1920. Staff has reviewed this request and finds it consistent with STIP guidelines and the program. Staff recommends your approval.
Move approval?
We have a motion by Commissioner Gardino, a second by Commissioner Gomez. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Teresa, item 77.
Item 77 is an action item. This is an allocation request of $350,000 for the Middle Creek Trail project in Shasta County. These funds are federal, it's a federal earmark from the Paul S. Sarbanes Transit and Parks Program. Staff recommends your approval.
Move it. Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Alvarado, a second by Commissioner Van Kenynenberg. Is there discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Christine, we're up, item 78.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tab 78 is an action item to approve an allocation for the Ranchero Road Interchange Landscaping Project in the City of Hesperia, programmed in the 2018 Environmental Enhancement and Mitigation Program. The CEQA lead agency has provided evidence of CEQA compliance for the project, and this item is in reference to tab 35. Staff has reviewed the request submitted by the California Natural Resources Agency and recommends your approval of tab 78.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Burke, a second by Commissioner Van Kenynenberg. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Item 79, Christine.
Commissioners, tab 79 is an action item to approve an allocation totaling $4,097,000 for 6 locally administered, local partnership formulaic and competitive program projects off the state highway system in Lake Mendocino, Madera, Tulare, and Santa Cruz counties, programmed in fiscal year 2018-19. Staff has reviewed the request, and the item is consistent with the local partnership program guidelines and the adopted formulaic and competitive programs. Therefore, staff recommends your approval of tab 79.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Van Kenynenberg, a second by Commissioner Alvarado. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Christine, item 80.
Tab 80 is an action item to approve an advance allocation totaling $1,209,000 for 2 locally administered, local partnership formulaic program projects off the state highway system in Sacramento and San Francisco counties, programmed in fiscal year 2019-20. Staff has reviewed the request, and the item is consistent with the local partnership program guidelines and the adopted formulaic program. Therefore, staff recommends your approval of tab 80.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gomez, a second by Commissioner Alvarado. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Item 81, Dawn.
Yes, tab 81 is an action item to approve the Trade Quarter Enhancement Program right-of-way allocation request for the Route 5760 Confluence Relief Program project in Los Angeles County. Staff has reviewed the request and finds it consistent with program guidelines. Therefore, staff recommends your approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Burke, a second by Commissioner Van Kenynenberg. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. We'll move on. Dawn,
Tab 82 is an action item to
Say.
approve a Trade Quarter Enhancement Program construction allocation for the Freight Intelligent Transportation System project in Alameda County. Staff has reviewed the request and finds it consistent with program guidelines. Therefore, staff recommends your approval.
Move it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Alvarado, a second by Commissioner Gomez. Is there discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Next item is 83. Lori, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. Item 83 is an action item. It is to approve allocations of $21,674,000 for 21 active transportation program projects. These allocations include $1,280,000 in design and right-of-way funds for the San Diego Regional Border to Bayshore Bikeway Project in San Diego County. This project is an approximately 6.5-mile safe biking route that will provide connections within and between Imperial Beach, San Ysidro, and the San Ysidro Port of Entry. It will also make it safer and easier for people of all ages and comfort levels to bike to local shops, parks, schools, transit stations, and other community destinations within San Ysidro and Imperial Beach, including the Imperial Beach Pier and the Bayshore Bikeway. Staff has reviewed these requests. They are consistent with ATP guidelines and the adopted program, and staff recommends your approval.
I've got a wild commission up here this morning. I'm not sure what they all had for breakfast, but.
Well, I took it off their website, so.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. Economic development, I love it. Okay, we do have a motion by Commissioner Kehoe. Yeah, and a second. Let me just record this, okay. Motion by Commissioner Kehoe, and I think the second came from Commissioner Guardino. And before we all went off the reservation. Now, Commissioner Kehoe, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Lori, very good advertising of the beach. It's a great facility. And I want to point out Choice Creek is being funded with this action too, is that correct? Or-
Yes, yes, it is.
And that is, again, an urban community along a little bit of a watershed just near the 94 freeway, serving lots of different kinds of communities east of downtown. And I just think that also is a great facility and important to that area. So
Yes.
it's quite adjacent to my old.
Okay.
So I got to put a vote.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? That motion carries. We'll move on now, Lori, to item 84.
Okay, Commissioners,
Do
item
it again.
84 is an action item to approve
Sing this one.
advance.
Need to sing this.
No, I will not be doing that. Advance allocations of $1,192,000 for 6 active transportation program projects programmed in fiscal year 1920. Staff has reviewed these requests. They are consistent with ATP guidelines, the adopted program, and the ATP policy on project amendments and advance allocations. Therefore, staff recommends your approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Van Kenynenberg, a second by Commissioner Kehoe. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Lori, back to you at 85, please.
Yes, item 85 is an action item to approve an advance allocation of $8,000 for 1 active transportation program project programmed in fiscal year 2021. Staff has reviewed this request. It is consistent with ATP guidelines, the adopted program, and the ATP policy on program amendments and advanced project allocations. Therefore, staff recommends your approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Burke, a second by Commissioner Kehoe, third, I believe, by Commissioner Guardino, if that counts. And is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Item 86, Teresa.
Commissioners, item 86 is an action item. This is the annual allocation request from the Bay Area Toll Authority and the MTC for the Waterborne Ferry Program for fiscal year 1920. Staff recommends you defer this action until the June Commission meeting. This will provide an opportunity for the requesting agencies to provide you a presentation on prior allocations and the program in general.
So this requires no
No
motion?
action.
No
This
action?
is-
Is there anybody here that wants to speak on this?
Yes, I do.
Okay, yes, Commissioner Gomez.
I think I brought this up. I know this is a budget item, et cetera, but, we're the commission that has to allocate the dollars, and I think it'd be helpful as commissioners to understand exactly what they're doing with the money, et cetera. So I've asked for the presentation in June so we can become better informed.
I think that's a great idea. I think it's a very important mobility option, and so I think a briefing would be great for all of us, so. But since they're not here today, I think we'll wait till next month. Okay, then we will go back to you, Teresa, with item 87.
Item 87 is an action item. This is the financial allocation request of $180,000 for the Build Up Low Sand North Improvement Program, Goleta Layover Facility Improvement Project in Santa Barbara County. This is from the Transit Intercity Rail Capital Program. Staff recommends your approval.
Move it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Alvarado, a second by Commissioner Kehoe. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. We'll move on to item 88. Teresa, please.
Item 88 there's a replacement book item for this in your package. This is a time extension request for 4 locally administered STIP projects. Staff has reviewed this request, finds it consistent with STIP guidelines and the program. Staff recommends your approval as reflected on staff recommendations.
Move it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Alvarado, and a second came from my left over here. Was that Commissioner Kehoe's second? Or was Yvonne's second?
Yeah, I seconded it.
Okay, we're going to let her read. Okay, is there any discussion on this? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? We abstaining. That motion carries. We will move on now to item 89. Lori.
Commissioners, item 89 is an action item to extend the period of allocation for 48 active transportation projects. Project 6 on item 89, Commission staff is recommending to defer the project rather than the 6 months that the agency requested because of the severity of the delay due to the campfire, and to keep it consistent with the 2 Town of Paradise projects that we deferred in December of 2018. This deferment is to allow the Town of Paradise to assess their transportation needs and respond to any problems that may arise from the campfire. In addition, for Project 9, Commission staff, in talking to Caltrans, is recommending a 16-month extension rather than the requested 12 months due to the multiple issues regarding utilities. In addition, there's one correction to the time extension table. Project 23's implementing agency is the County of Fresno rather than the City of Fresno. With those changes noted, staff has reviewed the extension requests in item 89, and they are consistent with the ATP guidelines. And staff recommends their approval as shown on the yellow time extension table and the one change I previously mentioned.
Move it.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Alvarado, a second by Commissioner Gilmetti, and can we just give credit to Megan for making that presentation? I apologize, Megan. I had
No
Lori's
problem.
name on the agenda, so we want to recognize your fine work. So
Thank you.
anyway, that was Megan making the presentation for the records there. So, all right, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining. That motion carries. We'll move on to item 90, and that looks like that's Christine.
Commissioners, tab 90 is an action item to approve 8 local partnership formulaic program allocation extension requests. Staff has reviewed the allocation extension request, and the item is consistent with the local partnership program guidelines. Therefore, staff recommends your approval of tab 90 as shown on the yellow time extension table.
Move it.
I have a motion by Commissioner Alvarado and a second by Commissioner Gilmetti. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining. That motion carries. Moving on to 91. Teresa, please.
91.
91, yeah.
91 is a time extension request to award. This is for a locally administered STIP project, the I-10 eastbound truck climbing lane in San Bernardino County. Staff has reviewed this request and finds it consistent with STIP guidelines. Staff recommends your approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Burke, a second by Commissioner Alvarado, and any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? We abstaining. Okay, we'll move on to 92. Teresa.
Item 92 is a time extension request to award. This is for the Waterfront Drive Connection Phase 2 project in Humboldt County. Staff has reviewed this request and finds it consistent with STIP guidelines. Staff recommends your approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Van Kennidenberg, a second by Commissioner Alvarado. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? We abstaining. That motion carries. We'll move now to item 93. Teresa, please.
Item 93 is an action item. This is the time extension request to award. This request is for a locally administered STIP project, the San Francisco BART. It's the 19th Street BART Station project in Alameda County. BART has requested a 20-month time extension. This project was allocated back in October 2018. Contract bids were open at 60% higher than the engineer's estimate. BART is requesting the maximum amount of time to review the overall project for rescoping, repackaging, and rebidding. Staff has reviewed this request and recommends 15 months. I understand BART is here to talk to you about their request. So,
Okay, well, typically I'd take a motion and then have a presentation, but Bart, if you want to come on down, this is Denise McDonald, I believe, right?
Good morning, my name is Denise McDonald, and I'm a principal engineer.
Microphone, turn your microphone on, please.
Oh, thank you. Good morning, my name is Denise McDonald, and I'm a principal engineer with BART. And I'm here to request the 20-month extension for the 19th Street Station Modernization Project. And as was mentioned, the bids came in 60% over what our engineer's estimate was. So for us to rebid the project, we're going to have to look at rescoping. It's an existing underground station, active, so the work has to be done during odd hours, like non-revenue hours. It creates a lot of challenges for us to rescope this work and still provide the project that we were planning to provide. So there's a lot of uncertainties involved in this descoping and repackaging of the project. The redesign is going to take 3 submittals to be able to do that, a draft submittal that will get reviewed by all the stakeholders, and then a 100% submittal, and then it has to go back to our procurement and legal department for reviews because it's a whole new package, basically. So we're looking at descoping, and getting to the IFB submittal will take us probably 14 months. And then our procurement process will have a 2-month bid period, and then bid evaluation and getting to board will take another probably 6 months before we'd have it, which is why we came up with the 20 months that we were asking for. So I appreciate your consideration.
Dale, did you, okay, I don't, let's go to Commissioner Gometti and then back to Therese for comment.
Do we get ourselves in the trap where, is this the last time they can ask for an extension?
yes, for award, yes.
So-
Yes.
If we
Something
went
missing.
to the 12th month and they needed more time, we couldn't give them more time unless we did the maximum now?
That would be correct. I did consult with our engineering staff to look at their timeline, and our staff indicated that normally a redesign takes about a year, and because they do have to go back to their board, additional 3 months would be appropriate, but at the pleasure of the commission.
Okay. And my question to you is, how do we blow the estimate by 60%?
That is, part of what's happening at BART now is the construction firms are very busy, so we're getting 1 to 2 bidders on these bid openings. And underground station work is very challenging for the contractors because they have to do the work at off hours and deal with the public going through using the station. So I think what's happening is contractors are busy, so they, even beyond raising their bids because they know there's less bidders, they also look at the challenge of the underground station and add another factor in. So we had a bid analysis done after the bid opening, and some of the factors that our estimator said was the fact that the contractors are very busy, the steel issue with the trade wars, Also with the challenges of being in an underground station. So it's almost as if, they increase the price because they know there are not very many bidders out there.
Do you expect that that's going to improve for you in the next 20 months?
Well, what we're looking at, certain things of minimizing some of the costs, and maybe looking at ways to make it easier to do the work in the station, opening up larger work windows for them, and also cost savings. There are some elements that maybe we can change the design, but still provide what we were planning to provide. In terms of like the LED lighting, we have a lighting strip that runs along the platform edge, which would be very difficult to construct. So we're talking about removing that and changing lighting levels in different areas to meet our lighting levels. So there's things like that. But what happens is when we start changing design, because it's an existing underground station, we can run into things that we don't realize we might run into now when they're designing it. So it takes time for them to do that design.
Okay. I'd suggest we give them a 20-month extension, simply because I don't want to run into the same problem we ran into, I think it was with the city of Oakland, where they didn't get the maximum and they couldn't extend after that. So that would be my motion.
Okay, so we have a motion to allow a 20-month extension, a second by Commissioner Alvarado. Any discussion on this item? I too have a problem with missing an estimate by 60%. I think we all are charged with being good stewards of every dollar. So dollars have been expended to get us where we are today, and 60% is not a contract bid environment, in my opinion, or if it is, then maybe we can't build at this moment in time if we are indeed all that busy. So would like more input on how we miss a bid by 60%. It was always an underground. And then for me to think that there are ways to do it more cost effectively and we didn't put it in there in the first place, that's kind of shame on us too. So if something drastically changes, I understand why we have a change. But for us to use collectively precious, precious dollars and miss so far and having to basically start over, and then if we do find the solution that is, 55% less or whatever the number comes to be, we all owe it to the public to give them the best, most effective transportation option at the best price. So I don't know from our staff what recourse we have, but I certainly don't feel good about participating in a project where we miss by so much. So, and these are big numbers. It's 60% of a big number. It's not 60% of $2 and we got a $3.20. It's huge. So, anybody want to make me feel better?
We agree, Commissioner, and that is of great concern. It is a STIP project, and 60% represents $20 million, and that is a very, very substantial amount. And so we can surely share the message with our partners and say that, and tell them that we need to work better on the estimate, especially in the current environment. So we agree with you.
Well, we're kind of sensitive right now. We've got another little project in the Bay Area, that's the Trans-Bay Center there, that's challenged, to say the least. So I don't know if we can direct you to work with our partners in transportation to see if there's something better to tighten up that we can all collectively do. And it's not to play a blame game. I think we all own just, learning best practices, of whatever we can do. So with that, I'll quit. Anyway, you get the gist of my concerns. So we have a motion. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. Okay, Christine, 94.
Commissioners, item 94 and 95 are action items to approve 2 local partnership formulaic program contract award time extension requests. Staff has reviewed the request, and the items are consistent with the local partnership program guidelines. Therefore, staff recommends your approval of tab 94 and 95 as shown on the yellow time extension table.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Van Kenynenberg, a second by Commissioner Alvarado. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Those items carry. Item 96, Teresa.
Item 96 is a action item. This is a project completion extension request for a Proposition 1B Intercity Rail Improvement Program. The request is consistent with the program, and staff recommends your approval.
Move it.
Come on, I need a second. I have a motion by Commissioner Alvarado, a second by Commissioner Kehoe. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That motion carries. So we're back to, let's see, now we're on to item 97, which is Lori. Or Megan, excuse me.
Tab 97 is an action item. Staff has reviewed the project completion time extensions for the two projects in this item. They are consistent with the ATP guidelines, and staff recommends approval as shown on the yellow time extension table.
Move it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Alvarado, a second by Commissioner Kehoe. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? That motion carries. So for the record, can we also correct that Megan presented on this? So my agenda. Item 98, and I'm going to call on Megan because I think Megan's going to do it for us.
Tab 98 is an action item. Staff has reviewed the period of expenditure time extensions for the project in this item. It is consistent with the ATP guidelines, and staff recommends approval as shown on the yellow time extension table.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Burke, a second by Commissioner Van Kenynenberg. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. So we do have public comment time. Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment? If not, I think this is when we want to maybe close this meeting in honor of our buddy Brian Annis, who has promised us that he will come back to all of our meetings because we are all multimodal, and so we'll save him a chair up here and be delighted with his presence. In all seriousness, Brian, on behalf of all of us, it's been a joy to work with you and look forward to our continued. So with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting, but I would encourage all of you to stick around. We're going to do a quick change out, and please join us for the workshop on the safe vehicle rule. Thank you.
We expect 10 o'clock.
Are we going to, it's going to be at 10? What time is it? Let's do it.
Just, we understand that the ARB, we're co-hosting this with the Air Resources Board, and their estimated time of arrival would put us starting about 10 a.m. So.
Okay.